Hello everybody, I hope you're having a fantastic day. I'm doing okay, I'm still a little bit sick, but hopefully I don't sound too much like that lady from SpongeBob. You know, the one who's like, chocolate, I hate chocolate. Yeah, that one, that's hopefully not what I sound like right now, but if it is, I do apologize greatly. What we are doing today is looking at two blush palettes that are going to be battling it out. Blush Palette Battle 2K16 Holiday Edition. We are going to be looking at the Smashbox Light It Up Blush Palette and the Tarte Works of Tarte color wheel thing. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So first we're just going to go like point by point. We're going to be looking at packaging. So the Smashbox one is quite large, a little bit bulky looking, but this isn't the palette itself. Like you don't have to like hoist this up to like use your blushes. This is like a storage box, and on the inside is your actual blush. So let's go ahead and open this up. And once you take out the blush palette from the inside itself, you have a cute little storage box, which I will definitely be using. And then here in this little sleeve, we have our Smashbox blush palette. It has a nice fingerprints on the outside because I have been playing with this for the past week, trying to see how I feel about it. But it is very pretty and it is nice and hefty feeling and sturdy, which I really like in my palettes. It is plastic, but it doesn't feel like super chintzy, so I like that. Okay, when we open it up, we have a gigantic mirror and we have 9 decent size blush pans. So the Smashbox packaging I think is really great. It closes pretty nicely, it snaps. I made it real dirty. That might be one of my only complaints with this, is that it does get very dirty. But other than that, I think it's super pretty and I like it. Next up we have the Tarte blush palette, and this one just comes in a typical like round Tarte blush box. And the packaging itself looks like this, nice golden purple swirls. And this one will probably definitely be better for traveling size-wise because it is more compact. However, this one does not come with a mirror like the Smashbox one, because there are 2 different sides of blushes. In this one, you get 10 blush pans, and they are slightly smaller. So just for comparison of size, these are smaller than the Smashbox ones, but you do get 10 colors instead of 9. The packaging on this, however, feels very light. I have to say a little bit chintzy. Like if you can listen, like, can you hear that? That like squeaky sound. At least mine personally isn't put together that fantastically, and like when it's closed, it does snap closed pretty well, but it kind of shifts back and forth. The 2 circles aren't really like put together that well. I do have 2 other Tarte palettes that are circular like this, and I feel like they're better quality than this. I don't know. But for me personally, if we're just judging on packaging for the first point, I'm gonna give it to Smashbox because I think the packaging feels nicer. I love the gigantic mirror, and I like the size of the pans too. Okay, next up we're going to be looking at the actual blushes themselves, what really matters. For the past week, I have been walking around with 2 different types of blush, highlighter, and like blush topper on my face. So this side over here is Smashbox, and this side over here is Tarte. I've been wearing this for just a little bit, but here's the Smashbox side and here's the Tarte side. Just by looking at my face right now, I can tell a little bit that the Tarte side's getting kind of patchy, and the Smashbox side looks a lot more like even, I guess. It could just be my terrible blush application. On this side, it seems like you can see like kind of a defined line here, and on this side, it seems just to be a little bit more even. So as far as application goes, I'm kind of feeling the Smashbox side just a little bit more. But I'm gonna do side-by-side comparison swatches of both of them so you guys can kind of see for yourself. All right, we're gonna start out with the Tarte. On here, we have the top 5 shades and bottom 5 shades. We're gonna start off on the top. We have Mood, Deco, Surreal, Culture, and Idol. So let's go ahead and get swatches of those. Mood up here feels very much like a traditional Tarte blush. We'll see as we go through the palette that not all of them feel the same way. So let's go ahead and start. There's Mood. Deco definitely has a bit more of a powdery feel to it. Deco. This is Surreal. And then we're going to move into these 2 shimmery shades over here, which we have Culture, which is super powdery. You can tell just from me using it once or twice, the little imprint that's in it is already starting to go away, and that's because it is very powdery. There is Culture, and then the last shade is Idol, which is less powdery than Culture, but it is still a shimmer shade. So there are those 3 there. There are those 5 there. Can't count. All right, and now we're gonna flip this over and move on to the bottom portion. We have Ironic, apparently I can't read upside down. Montage, Iconic, no, Icon, still can't read. Concept, and Crafty. I swear I'm not an idiot, I promise. Or I might be, I don't know. Alright, so we're going to start off with Ironic, which is a very pretty color. This one feels very much like a traditional Tarte blush as well. And it's one of my favorites in the entire palette. This one is the one I'm actually wearing today. Again, it just looks a little bit like patchy, but it could just be me. It could just be me. I might have gone a little too heavy-handed with it. We never know. Alright, next up we have Montage, which is very pretty as well. That's down there, just a little bit more pink than Ironic here. And then we have Iconic, which is super soft feeling, but not very powdery, so I like that. And that is a gorgeous shade as well. And then for our two shimmer shades, we have Crafty, which seems to be quite powdery too, just like Culture down here. The little imprint is already starting to fade away. Crafty is right there. And then we have Concept, which is much less powdery than Crafty. I think it's very strange like how much they differ between all the blushes. Like they all have different textures, which I think is very odd. Okay, and those are all of the colors. I am definitely more of a fan of the bottom portion of the color wheel myself. I tend to lean more towards like mauves and things like that rather than like pinks. Really quickly, I just wanted to show you guys with the brush a few swirls around a couple of these pans just to show you how much actually comes off on the brush and if any powder kicks off at all. So Culture here, just watch this. So we're just gonna swirl and we have like, whoa. Like if you just went in directly on your face with this, you'd be looking like Krusty the Clown real fast. Another SpongeBob reference. Anyway, so if you were just to put that on your face, it would be, well, maybe nothing. I thought it would be like super pink, but like, look, I'm doing this on the back of my hand. You saw how much was on there. Do you guys see anything? Am I crazy? Maybe if I just really get in there. Oh my gosh. Wow, okay, that's very interesting. Like, nothing really came off. This pink streak right here, I had to use my finger to apply it with. And there isn't that much pink left on the brush either. Let's try one that's more along the lines of a typical Tarte brush. I'm gonna go in here with Ironic. A lot of pickup on the brush. This one you can actually see sweeps on with color. And there is quite a bit of pigment from this one. That's very strange that this one didn't leave anything behind. Wow. That's very interesting. Okay. All right, let's move on to some Smashbox swatches. I'm going to try to put these next to these swatches just so we can see comparisons. So first we're going to start off here with Rich Coral, and then we'll have True Coral, oh, two corals, Rich Berry, True Pink Berry, Rich Bronze, and True Flush, and then we'll move over to the highlighters, which is Highlight Coral, Highlight Berry, and Highlight Gold. I kind of do like how they have separated them out into corals, berries, and like more nudie tones. I think that's pretty cool. So first up we have Rich Coral, which feels nice and soft, and that is a lot of pigment. It is right there next to the Tarte, so we can kind of see these are both in the corally shades, and you can see the difference in pigmentation. All right, next up we have True Coral, which also is very soft. We'll put that right here. Yet again, here's the Tarte one, and next to the Smashbox one for comparison purposes. Okay, let's move on down to the berries. We have Rich Berry, which doesn't feel as soft as the top two. I'm actually gonna go ahead and move down here. I'm going to swatch this down closer to the berry shades from the Tarte palette so you can see the differences down there. And Rich Berry is the one I'm wearing right here today. You can't really tell it on this camera. It doesn't pick up color very well, but it is on my cheeks today, and here is a swatch of it right here next to the more berry tones of the Tarte palette. The finger swatch was a bit patchy. It wasn't as soft as these two up here, but it is still a very pretty color. All right, next up we have a True Pink Berry, which is super soft. So you wouldn't want to use too much of it because it is very pigmented. All right, moving on down to the more nudie tones. We first have Rich Bronze, which I think they were suggesting would be also a contour bronzing shade. We don't really have any of those in the other one. So I'll just go back up here, and here is Rich Bronze. I think it is actually a very pretty color, and I might be able to pull this off as a contour. I typically wear more of a gray contour, but this is very pretty. It is very pigmented. And then lastly for the blushes, we have True Flush, which I think is a gorgeous, like, nudie pink tone. I really like this one. There it is here. A little bit fallout, that's okay. All right, moving on to the highlights. The first one we have is Highlight Coral. It is super soft, very pretty. So swatched right here next to another shimmer shade from the Tarte palette is the Highlight Coral. It is definitely more of a pink tone than the other one, but both of them are very pretty and very pigmented. Next up we have Highlight Berry, which is a nice pretty pinky tone. We'll put this one down here next to the pinker highlight tone from the Tarte palette. So here we have the one from Smashbox, and here we have the one from Tarte. The Smashbox one does seem to be a little bit more pigmented than the Tarte one. And finally, from the Smashbox palette, we have Highlight Gold, which is very pretty, but the pan itself doesn't feel as soft. I don't really have one for comparison for it, so I'm just going to put it right here at the top. There is Highlight Gold. It is super pretty. I like it a lot. There's like black all the way around my eyes. I look like I haven't slept in years, which I mean is almost true. And just like the Tarte palette, I'm going to pick one and swirl it around just so you guys see how much comes off on a brush itself. And then on the back of this hand, let's do a little brush swatch. Alright, here I took Rich Berry from the Smashbox palette, and here I have the Tarte shade, so you can kind of see the differences in pigmentation between the two swatched with a brush. This one seems to be a little bit more bright, as this one seems to be a little bit more subtle, but maybe that's why I have like a line going on here of blush and not one on this side, because the Smashbox one is a little bit more subtle, yet they seem to be slightly bit more pigmented when I show them as an actual swatch on my arm. I don't know, that's interesting. I will have to say though, as far as texture and consistency goes, the Smashbox palette seems to be a lot more consistent with their texture than the Tarte palette does. Some of the Tarte shades are kind of powdery, some are a little bit stiff, it's all over the place. But the Smashbox one seems to be a little bit more consistent with their formulation. So I guess I have to give another point to Smashbox. I'm kind of really enjoying the Smashbox palette a lot, if I have to be honest. Alright, now we get down to price and value, which is what I'm super concerned with because I am cheap as all get out. So, this guy is $44 and this guy here is $39, which isn't a humongous difference in price, but there is definitely a difference. $5 is the difference. $5 can make a difference in a lot of things. So now we have to look at how much you actually get for your value. This one says that there is 2.4 grams or 0.84 ounces times... I almost dropped the other one. Oh, heart attack. Okay. Anyway, so this one basically has 24 grams of product according to the back here. That means that there are 2.4 grams of products in each of the little pans in here. This one, however, says that there are 26.76 grams of blush in here, and then there are 12.6 grams of highlight in here. And if that's the case, then that means total there are 38 grams of product in here, whereas this one only has 24. So, on the point of price, I'm gonna have to give it to Smashbox yet again. So for me personally, if I'm going to the store and I'm picking out one of these palettes, I'm going with Smashbox. Other people might not agree with me and they might say Tarte all the way. But for me, formulation-wise, consistency, pigmentation, price, I'm gonna give it to Smashbox. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know if you've tried both of these or either of these and you disagree or you agree with me. I would really like to know. But for now, I'm gonna have to say the winner of Blush Battle 2K16 Holiday Edition is Smashbox Light It Up LA Palette. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully next time I see you, I will not sound like that old weird lady at your family reunion that walks around and tries to give you hard candy. You know, the one that comes up to you and is like, "You want some hot candy?" and starts like digging around between the tissues of her purse to pull out like a peppermint. Yeah, hopefully that's what I won't sound like next time I see you guys. Anyway, I hope you have a fantastic day, and please go ahead and subscribe. It would mean the world to me if you did. I will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye!